Heavenly Father, we want to take a moment of silence this morning on behalf of our recent Porter graduate that's being held somewhere in the Iraqi area. So, Lord, let's do it now. Thank you. We do pray for safety for him and his co-labor of love over there in Iraq, and we pray for all our young men and women that are serving around this world. Lord, we pray for the continued healing and good news coming from the house of Pete Benavides. We ask, Lord, that you watch over him and get him back to our courtroom here as soon as possible. Lord, we thank you for the up-and-coming rains that we expect today and tomorrow. We pray, Lord, that this will be good moisture for our soil, good moisture for our watersheds. And Lord, we continue to pray against any hurricanes hitting our Cameron County shoreline. Lord, we bring up the agenda again this morning, that there's many important things. I see a lot of people here that know in their heart what's best, and they want to see what's best for Cameron County. So we want an agreement here this morning under your guidance, under your direction, under your wisdom, for the best for Cameron County. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't know if anybody's hooked up, but we'll ask. Okay. Judge Hinojosa is on his way in. He was at another meeting early this morning, so we were going to start the meeting without him here. There's a few presentations on the agenda. They're going to wait for a few minutes till he comes in, so I ask for your patience. Our first item, of course, is public comments, and we have Joe Wallace Garcia here. Mr. Garcia? Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm here to address a problem that I'm pretty sure most of you have in your area, the drain ditch. I live out by the airport on California Road in Dakota, and our drain ditch doesn't empty into our subdivision. So, and there's about 150 homes in that area, and we're paying the Brownsville irrigation dish taxes, and twice a week have to pay double tax and we're not getting the service. I've been to the county judge's office, to the right-of-way office, to the office over there in 802, and nobody seems to care, or nobody seems to know what to do. The problem is with the persons that you all the county judge appointed to that particular drain ditch. I know it's election time and appointments are coming up. Please appoint somebody that can take care of this problem. Not just in precinct 1, but I'm pretty sure that the same problem is in precinct 2 and some of the other precincts in Cameron County. Or tell the persons that run the drain ditch to stop taxing the people for service they're not providing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. And it'll be forwarded, your comments will be forwarded to the drainage district, and we'll make sure that the commissioner that's not present today and the county judge also hear your complaints.
They know about it every 3 years, and I just got my text saying I was supposed to be removed last year, and I just got my statement and it's still there.
Okay, we will forward your comments to the drainage district. Thank you, sir. On the next item, or the next part of the meeting, we have presentations. We are going to go to number 4, which is a presentation of the status report on the Santa Rosa Boys and Girls Club project. Gracie, if you would. Let me just, Mr. Limon, you can hold off a little bit? Okay, thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. What I have here on the Santa Rosa Boys and Girls Club is an update where we are with the funding. As you are aware, we received the allocation from the U.S. Department of HUD for the $316,800 for this fiscal year 2006, and that was previous fiscal year 2003 we received $223,588. That gives us a total of $540,388 that we have received. We have already submitted the application to HUD and is pending an environmental review letter, an update, because we had previously submitted an environmental review letter that was approved by HUD in San Antonio. And we are now in the process of getting that letter updated since it is the same project. But I was told that we have to treat each grant every time that we receive it in the application as a separate project. So I'm working on that to get that updated, and hopefully there won't be any problems with that. I would expect that because we do have already an existing account with HUD, that perhaps we can speed up the application process, which the money's already there. The process is basically just to receive the contract. And so perhaps maybe within 30 days or so, I might be able to get that contract back into our office. We do have a balance, it's my understanding, of the first grant that we can continue to use because we've only drawn down funds for the design of the project. We are short of funds because we estimated the project cost to be approximately about $700,000, and we are short of funds, and so we have submitted for private foundation monies to the Meadows Foundation. It's my understanding that the Meadows Foundation Evaluation Committee is in the process of evaluating those applications, and our project seems to be very favorable, and hopefully they will recommend it for approval. We hope to hear from them within this month. We have also submitted, and I have copies of a draft letter to the American Electric Power Company, the same amount of money that we have requested from Meadows Foundation. This letter is just a draft letter, and we will hopefully finalize it and get it ready to be sent today.
Grace, my main concern was I wanted to make sure that we, as a county, are meeting all the deadlines for documentation and for applications and all of the bureaucracy that's involved, because it is bureaucracy, but it's necessary.
Absolutely.
So I want to ensure that we're meeting those deadlines and we don't end up losing money because we didn't submit something when we were supposed to.
Our deadline for the applications is until December 30th of 2006, so we're definitely are within the deadlines. That was our deadline to submit the funding, or the application, I'm sorry. That is a draft letter for the American Electric Power requesting funding. And so we have solicited from two private sources. In the meantime, we can proceed with the first grant, or we can just wait until we receive this funding. And
Which funding are you referring to? The 159?
If we want the complete amount of money to meet the project cost, yes, and that's, from what I understand, our budget officer requests that we have the entire project cost funds to be able to award a contract or execute a contract.
Well, we had, is Javier Mendez here?
Yes, yes.
Here.
There you are. We had Plan A and Plan B, to where if we didn't get all the funding, we would reduce the size of the building and therefore go on with the main portion of it. Are we going to wait until all the funding is in?
Well, what happened is we took up, if I'm not sure you remember, we took out some of the work from the contract, and Marcelino was going to do that, and we brought it down to $633,000.
Right.
And that was, it came down from $800,000 down to $633,000. That was the lowest we were able to get that proposal.
Which is still
Okay, so it was
more
still-
than what we have.
Well, the cost is,
Yeah.
yeah, we're still minus, in other words.
And we couldn't reduce the size of the building anymore, or eliminate any of the rooms. 'Cause I know we wanted to use it for.
There's basic things that need to happen, and so that was the bottom line. For the public's benefit, because of course I don't blame the Santa Rosa residents for wanting to know the update, why don't you, Javier, why don't you give us an update also on the fact how far we've gotten with the architect and so on? I mean, all of that is complete.
Correct. The plans are complete, and what we did was, because we were ready to start construction, we went ahead and went through and started negotiating with the company that works to the buy board instead of bidding it out. And we're negotiating the cost and the project for them because we were ready to get started. But when it first came out, we were going to do the building up front, which was all the classrooms and the library and the arts and crafts rooms and stuff like that. Then what we decided was, because the community would rather have a gymnasium, we went back and started designing a gymnasium, and we're going to allow for a future expansion, and we can attach the building in front. So what the architect did was he included in this gymnasium is some classrooms and restrooms and so on so we can use it as a multi-purpose type facility. So that's where we're at now. The architect is done with the drawings, and we're ready either to bid it out or we go through this contractor to the buy board.
Okay. Well, I know that the Meadows Foundation is friendly to buildings for Boys and Girls Club. I've had that experience in Harlingen. Refresh my memory, did you say approximately when we would be hearing from Meadows Foundation, or did you not?
I think from what I understand, Remy has been in contact with them.
The committee that reviews the application, it's my understanding, is making the recommendation for funding to the board. Their next meeting is at the very beginning of July, and so we expect to hear word from them just at the very beginning of July. And once that word comes one way or the other, we can either move forward with either doing some internal financing of the project, and then when those funds come in, replenish them or something along those lines. To move forward with the construction.
Good. Well, again, I want to publicly thank Gerald Gathright, Executive Director for the Boys and Girls Club in Harlingen. It's through his efforts and his board accepting us under their roof, so to speak, that we would be able to get, well, not chartered, we're under them. So it will truly be a Boys and Girls Club functioning with all the rules and regulations and guidelines of the Boys and Girls Club. So yeah, this is going to be tremendous for this community when it comes to pass.
Commissioner, also I'd like to report that we did also receive funding for the Los Fresnos Boys and Girls Club. And of course, we'll have to work on that one, but we did receive funding for that.
But we're still lacking some funding.
I'm sorry?
We're still lacking funding.
Well,
Oh, yes.
well, we haven't.
We have already submitted for the next fiscal year a request, so that hopefully by the following year. So that takes a while to get this funding, but eventually we're working towards it and pursuing other private resources.
And we'll have an update on that at a subsequent meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Commissioner Wood? Could I have a motion to acknowledge the report? So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Yvette Salinas on number 5, presentation on Operation Lone Star 2006.
Good morning.
And I think, is the Reverend still here? Reverend Clark, is he gone? He's already left. You know, I know he included in his prayer, you know, thoughts for a local individual in Iraq. The news reported early this morning that they had found the body of the 2 soldiers that had been missing. And unfortunately, it was not good news. Good news is they found their bodies, but they were not alive. So, you know, that need to keep the families in the prayers.
Menchaca family.
The Menchaca, especially from Brownsville. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. I guess if we can bring the lights a little bit. If the court will recall, Cameron County has been collaborating with Operation Lone Star for a few years now. Operation Lone Star 2006 is a military exercise. It's a preparedness type of event. The mission of Operation Lone Star 2006 is to provide personnel, administrative, and logistical support to operate dental and medical treatment sites for the underserved population of the Rio Grande Valley, to utilize face-to-face training opportunity to build multi-component relationships and skills set to accomplish contingency state mission of community assistance in the event of a weapons of mass destruction or natural disaster event. In the past, and I need to give you some of the historical information so you can understand how it's going to be different this year. In the past, Cameron County started in 2002 with Operation Lone Star. The military that was involved with this type of preparedness was the Texas Army National Guard, the Texas Air National Guard, the Texas Medical Rangers, the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve, and the U.S. Navy Reserve. During that time, the local community agencies would work with Operation Lone Star, and Operation Lone Star would provide 2 weeks of free medical and dental services for the community. And we've been primarily focusing in the Brownsville area, but anybody within Cameron County could receive the free medical and dental services. In 2005, there was approximately 5,601 individuals seen, and they received 12,522 types of services. Approximately $300,000 worth of services was provided in 2005. However, presently, this is our 5th year participation, and it used to be that when I would attend the military meetings, there was about 25 to 30 individuals from the military and maybe about 5 civilians that used to attend the meetings. And for the most part, the military had everything worked out by February. However, because of the deployment of all the different military services, only the Texas Army National Guard will participate this year. So we've lost the Texas National Guard, the Texas Medical Rangers, the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve, and the U.S. Navy Reserve. However, the military is still committed to providing services. However, we've had to scale down to 1 week of medical services instead of the 2 weeks. Because of that, Cameron County is going to be the lead entity in helping the military coordinate the services. Because all the militaries have pretty much been deployed, the military they're concerned about, I guess, the scaling down of services, but they have committed to providing future Operation Lone Star services with those agencies who can support them in the time when they've deployed the military out. So we are committed to helping out the military this year because we would like for the military to continue to provide Operation Lone Star services in Cameron County. Therefore, Cameron County Department of Health and Human Services is coordinating with all these different agencies, and we're going to continue to coordinate with them so that we can have future Operation Lone Star services. In order to do this, we have turned this into, and not just we, Cameron County, but the Department of State Health Services, Hidalgo County Health Department, and Starr County has turned this into a preparedness exercise. So what you're going to see here is an incident command structure organizational chart, and this is what we're using in order to comply with the grant and to work with the military, because they also too are accustomed with the incident command structure. Actually, our incident command structure is after the military is structured after them, but this is what we're going to utilize in order to provide the services here locally. Some of the services that we're going to provide in Operation Lone Star 2006 are immunizations, blood pressure screenings, weight, height, hearing screenings, disposal of biohazard, the Reach Out and Read literacy program, hand washing information, technology support, crowd control, diabetic screenings, dental, pharmacy, sports physicals, medical, and dental services. So we hope to provide these services, and we're working with our our public health clinics and the staff within our department to make sure that we continue to provide Operation Lone Star services at this time, even though there's going to be a great deal of military absence. The military is still trying to confirm on some of the staff that they will be providing at Operation Lone Star, but it looks like they're going to commit maybe 15 physicians, 26 nurses. I'm sorry, I need to cut that down by half because they'll provide Operation Lone Star services here and in Starr County. So it's probably about 7 physicians, 13 nurses, 1 or 2 dentists, dental techs, maybe about 4 or 5 of them. We're going to have to look for a pharmacy tech and med tech, but this is what some of the personnel at the military is going to continue to provide through the Texas Army National Guard. And the event is scheduled to start on July 24th, which is a Monday, and end on the 28th. At the same time that we're having Operation Lone Star here in Cameron County, Starr County will also have their 1 week of Operation Lone Star, and then the following week, services will be provided in Hidalgo County Monday through Thursday. So in a nutshell, Operation Lone Star will be conducted through July 24th through 28th. Oh, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself. At Philemon Vela Middle School. But I did want to show you some of the numbers that were last year's numbers. You have that information in your packet. I know it's a little difficult to read up there, but it is a great deal of numbers. We don't expect to provide that amount of services, but that's going to be our goal. So that's what we're going to work towards, even though it's going to be somewhat difficult without the military's participation.
So actually, the time frame has been cut back,
Yes, ma'am.
as well as the number of doctors and so on available.
Yes, ma'am.
Pretty much in half.
So that'll be,
Yes, sir.
well, not just the time frame in half, but the number of people you'd be able to see
The
per day.
personnel.
The personnel is cut in half, so.
And the number of locations where you're
And the
going to be
number of
at.
locations, so
Which is-
I would say maybe 25%.
We've always had 1 location in Cameron County, but we've always had 2 weeks of 9 working days. And so now we're going to have 5 days instead of the 9.
Well, and also you provided some outreach through transportation 1 year.
Yes, ma'am. The Sheriff's Department and your office helped us out in trying to coordinate a transportation system for those individuals that were not able to in Precinct 4 come over to Operation Lone Star. I believe was in Garden Park that year. And so we did have that event. The Brownsville urban system, the bus system from Brownsville, is helping us with some of the outreach efforts by allowing us to post some posters on their buses this year. But yes, it has been scaled down quite a bit. However, the military has committed to continue to future Operation Lone Star projects with those entities that are involved with them this year.
Wasn't there 1 year, in fact, the Garden Park year, that we had some additional time available from some of the folks that I believe were in Starr County that came down and opened up shop for a few days in Cameron Park?
Yes, Commissioner. They attempted. They attempted to, at that time, to maybe provide some satellite type of Operation Lone Star activities, and I believe that Cameron Park was probably the only one in Brownsville, and I think they did do another one, I believe in Roma that same year, to try and have maybe some satellite type of activities. Right now, it's questionable as far as a satellite type of activity. They are looking at Willacy County, because Willacy County has not participated in Operation Lone Star, so that's a possibility.
I know when they opened up the satellite activity in Cameron Park, they had a lot of, they saw a lot of patients there, a lot of the public there. And obviously having it at Philemon B. Vela Middle School right there across the street from Cameron Park should develop a lot of input from the neighborhood in that area that needs to get over and get some of these things taken care of.
We hope so, and they have a bus there as well, so hopefully some people can use some of the bus system to walk across
Sure.
and to Philemon Vela School.
I think this is just one more example of how the war is affecting our society. not just with our federal budget, but with services that in the past we've had, and then just this morning hearing about 2 of our soldiers and many more that have been killed. So it's not good.
No, it's not, but in order to try and keep this exercise alive, and it really is good for us in the sense that it will provide us more interaction with the military as far as readiness and preparedness. However, we're going to have to work with our public health clinics and trying to coordinate some of the services that they would usually provide at the clinic will probably be moved to Operation Lone Star. We are trying to come up with a contingency plan of maybe possibly hiring additional personnel so that maybe we can still continue to provide services at the public health clinics and at Operation Lone Star. So that's something that we're still trying to work out. Usually all these things are a done deal by the month of February. However, we've only had one military face-to-face meeting, and that was with only one military person. So even they've scaled down from the 25 to 30 military people to just that one person. It's been one meeting, and that's okay, because we're going to continue to work with them, and we're still going to try and make this a success.
Well, Yvette, I know you try your very best. Now, with the telemedicine mobile unit, that will only be immunization, am I correct? Through the University of Texas?
That's also being factored into this project. Now, actually, where it's actually going, where it's going to be Willacy County or Starr County or Cameron County, it has not been decided yet. But there.
Oh, you mean the telemedicine mobile unit?
Yes, ma'am.
I can tell you that it's coming to Cameron.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. Again, it's the last week of July, and it's going to be at Filemon Vela Middle School.
Thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
Oh, I did include a list, I'm sorry. I did include, what you see in the attachments is the Manning list. And I didn't introduce, I'm sorry, Gabby Salcedo. She's our incident commander for the event. She's the one that is working with the different agencies in the military as well as far as conference calls and developing the Manning list. The Manning list is like the schedule of activities. So she's done a fabulous job, and a lot of the work she's created is being duplicated by Hidalgo and Starr County.
Yvette, one more thing. We're not going to shut down our regular clinics that week, are we? I mean, as it is, we're stretched at the clinics, and I expressed to you some concerns last week in regards to wait times and when appointments can be had by individuals. I would hope that this would not delay everything even more so, because we're putting all our efforts at one location by your department and neglecting the clinics that, are already overburdened with work.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're going to close the clinics, or?
It's possible, let me give you an example, okay? It's possible that our immunization clinic at one of the clinics on that Tuesday or on that Wednesday may not be able to provide services. So it's not going to have an all clinic effect to go to Operation Lone Star, but it may have a daily effect per clinic. We are working with the clinic supervisors from each clinic, and they understand, the situation as far as providing services for Operation Lone Star and our public health clinics, and to also try and meet the $150,000 grant that we recently received in order to try and meet that commitment as well. So some of the ideas they have come up with, they're good ideas, but it is possible that we may not be able to provide immunization services at the Harlingen Clinic on that Tuesday. But if that is what happens, I'll send an email to the court and let them know that this is the best that we could work out.
But it wouldn't affect the whole week.
Not
at the same clinic.
Not at the same clinic.
But at different clinics.
Right. Depending on what the clinic schedule is, and depending on what services we're trying to provide at Operation Lone Star, and if we're trying to hire extra personnel to maybe fill in the gaps for immunizations. So maybe we won't have to cut down on the immunization clinics, because we're able to hire a nurse who can give immunizations at Operation Lone Star. So those are some of the things that we're still trying to coordinate.
And you'll keep us posted.
Well, the least disruption would be greatly appreciated at the clinics.
Thank you, Red. There was a motion to acknowledge. by
Second.
Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Garza. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I apologize for getting here a little late. I had a presentation to the South Padre Island Chamber of Commerce that started at 8:30, so hard to get here without violating the traffic laws of the state of Texas. Okay, I'm gonna jump around in this agenda. What I'd like to do is, with your permission, is take up the resolution presentation, take up the appraisal district, and then go into executive session because we have our lawyers with some very good news to report to us that are waiting for us, and they need to get back to their business. So I'm going to take up item number two, presentation of resolution recognizing Mr. Antonio Limon for his lifetime of achievement. If I could ask him to come up. You know, one of the things that I have learned over the years is that when you engage in efforts to improve the quality of life in your community, in the myriad of things that we are involved in, the most successful efforts are the ones where we partner with good people. And people who are committed to the same agenda and the same improvement of the quality of life that we are. One of the things that's happened to us, and we're very fortunate for this happening to us, is that many years ago, when a decision was made to open up our juvenile facility in San Benito, we coincidentally fell within the jurisdiction of the San Benito Consolidated Independent School District. And what that resulted in is us necessarily having to receive the services of the school district in the different programs that we have for juveniles at the facility. At that facility today, we have not only the administration building, but we have our juvenile detention facility. We have our Amador Rodriguez Juvenile Boot Camp and our Juvenile Justice Alternative Education Program as well. All those programs are served by the San Benito Consolidated Independent School District. And it could have happened one of two ways. We could have had a school district that went through the motions and did whatever it needed to do to get by and just, provide whatever services it had to provide to the people that we serve at that facility. Or you could have had a situation where the school district made a strong commitment to provide quality education to those people that we serve. And in my opinion, this second choice that could have been made was critical for our success in treating these juveniles who have had problems in the past. San Benito Consolidated Independent School District elected to do the second. And they did, and they've done through the leadership of the superintendent, Antonio Limon. And we wanted to honor him because of that and because of the fine job that he's done in the field of education over the years that he's been in education. And we passed a resolution, and I want to read the resolution to y'all, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tommy to say a few words about that, and then I'll turn it over to you. Consideration and adoption of a resolution recognizing Mr. Antonio Limon for his lifetime of achievement. And by the way, just as a side note, one of our commissioners worked with the San Benito Independent School District for many years, and was very instrumental in working with kids who needed some help, and has been with us. And in fact, was with me when we put together the juvenile boot camp a number of years ago. At that time, so she understands how much y'all have done.
Mr. also was one of our former school board members.
And Mr. Garza was one of the school board members early on. So it's whereas Mr. Antonio Limon has served as the superintendent of schools in the San Benito Consolidated Independent School District, which is one of the finest in the state since 2004,
And whereas prior to becoming superintendent, Mr. Limon held several positions of importance and responsibility within the district, including that of principal of Miller Jordan Middle School, director of federal programs, and director of personnel. And whereas Mr. Limon's hard work and dedication to the success of every student is reflected in the achievement of San Benito students who score highly on standardized exams and are recognized for their academic and athletic achievements. Whereas in 2000, while serving as principal of Miller Jordan Middle School, Mr. Limon's leadership was considered by his peers as so outstanding that he was selected as Region 1 Principal of the Year. And whereas before coming to the Resaca City, Mr. Limon worked for many years as an educational administrator in Harlingen, Laredo, and the state of Washington, and attracted particular notice for his dedication to helping migrant students. And whereas among Mr. Limon's many fine personal qualities, he is perhaps most known for his warmth and integrity, traits which were on display during his distinguished career as a television journalist in the city of Laredo. And whereas Mr. I didn't know that.
And he can sing too.
And he can sing too. Pues nos vas a cantar una canción ahorita, okay? And whereas Mr. Limon's outstanding personal qualities and professional dedication are also shared with his wife, Ms. Linda Limon, who is a special education teacher with the district. And whereas the Cameron County Commissioners Court wishes to recognize Mr. Antonio Limon for his lifetime of achievement, now therefore be it resolved that the Cameron County Commissioners Court hereby recognizes Mr. Antonio Limon for his lifetime achievement, signed this 13th day of June 2006, unanimous by Cameron County Commissioners Court.
Judge Hinojosa, members of the Commissioners Court. Just simply on behalf of the Juvenile Justice Department of Cameron County, we've had the privilege of working in partnership with Mr. Limon over the past 3 years, and we are so grateful that he has been a part of the partnership that we've had. We express our sincere thanks to he and his staff of San Benito ISD for the level of quality of the academic program that they bring to our facility, and for the love for the children that we serve, not just of San Benito ISD, but our facility serves all the kids of Cameron County, and he brings that commitment of quality of education to all the children of Cameron County. And for that, Mr. Limon, we thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm deeply honored, deeply humbled by this. I didn't expect this. My wife told me I was going to answer some questions regarding the program that we have in San Benito. I had no idea this was going to happen, but I'm, again, deeply humbled. Actually, this should go to my wife. I hear every day she comes home with the love stories from the students and how much she loves them, how much they've gained. I'm very proud that 100% of our students that took the test at the Darrell Hester passed. And you know, it's just a great program. I visited with the students there at the Darrell Hester often. They're a great bunch of students. Perhaps they've made some bad decisions in the past, but they'll make good ones in the future. And I congratulate Tommy and all his staff for what they do for our students. And again, I'm deeply humbled, and I thank you so very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Tony. Going back to what I said earlier about what the school district does, Mr. Limon, if you go to the juvenile boot camp and you go to where the classrooms are and you tour the facility and see how the instruction is going on at that facility, it shows you the commitment that the school district is making to our kids. I mean, those teachers, I mean, it's like a classroom that you would not expect to see at a juvenile treatment facility for troubled youth. I mean, it's a totally different environment. You walk into those classrooms. When we had the prayer breakfast, some of the pastors went in there and they were just amazed on how well the classrooms are conducted, the way they're set up, the way that students are paying attention, the way they're being taught by the teachers, and that, you know, that shows you that the school district is really trying hard. I mean, they are committed to making sure that these kids who
need so much are given a quality education, and they give, they do their part to ensure that these kids can become eventually contributing members of society and not go in the direction that they were headed before they came into our facility. So, you know, we couldn't, I promise you, we could not do it without y'all. It really is the truth, and we really are very thankful to the school district and to Mr. Dupont and all the people that you work with, teachers that are there. I mean, they're great teachers for the effort that you have given to this project. And I know that those kids that are succeeding, by the way, you know, are at that facility, the kids that are coming into that facility, had they not come in there, have about 100% dropout rate. When they come into that facility, they stay in, they either graduate or get their GED. Some of them go off to college or to trade schools, and they're only succeeding, I believe, because of the efforts of not only our juvenile department, but your school district. So thank you very much for your service again.
Judge, I'd like to mention the fact that, and this is outstanding work that the school district continues to do with them, but Mr. Limon, I want to thank you for being proactive in trying to help us also keep kids from ending up there. And you've done it, the school district has done it through the partnership in Los Indios. You gave us the buildings for the after-school program. That's extremely successful. I give the credit to the advisory committee, and Yvette is here. It's under that department now. It's being extremely successful, averaging 40 students after school. And also, now we'll be hopefully opening one in La Paloma, so I'll be visiting with you again at the park. We'll be hopefully setting up an after-school program there. And so I want to thank you, and also the quick response that you gave us when we partnered with the University of Texas with a mobile unit, and it's been very successful at the La Paloma Elementary School. So thank you for your efforts.
Thank you.
Judge, I might add one thing. You know, I've known Mr. Limon since I got a phone call one day saying that a newscaster wanted a job in San Benito. You know, many years ago.
Looks like one, right?
You know,
I mean,
and you know, it's been a great friendship that we've had, and he's been a real proactive individual in regards to kids, regardless of whether they're in school or not. I know that the school district of San Benito provided housing in the area where Maggie and Monica's house had been housed at. They've had some changes in the ownership of property. They were gracious enough to give that organization the buildings that they had been utilizing that belonged to the school district that now have been moved to the Levi property in San Benito. So, you know, in all areas of the community, I know in your church service and everything else, Mr. Limon, you are a very good mentor to the kids, and I appreciate that from the community that we reside in. The partnerships that we've had across the board on any issue has been great, and we're here to continue that, and we thank you for the past and what you've done for us.
Thank you.
May I say something, Judge? I don't really know you, Mr. Limon, but having talked to some folks about you and what you've done, it's quite obvious to me that you're a real asset, not just to San Benito, but to the entire community of Cameron County, and the kids most especially, which is most important to all of us. And we certainly do appreciate your dedication and commitment to helping the youth of the communities. Thank you very much.
And Brownsville can look further north than San Benito for a new
They
superintendent.
may be knocking on your door. You know, I don't know. They might.
Don't put in
We'd like to keep the superintendent we have, but anyway. Do you hear a motion to acknowledge presentation?
So
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
Tamayo, second by Commissioner Garcia. For discussion, all those in favor signify by state and I.
Aye.
Motion carries. Before we get into the appraisal district thing, I asked Mrs. Cardoso to come here today on item number 10, consideration possible action regarding the maintenance at San Pedro Cemetery. The Cardoso family has been taking care of the San Pedro Cemetery forever. Her late husband took care of it for a lot of years. They never asked for anything, just a little bit of support from the county. Recently, the cemetery has been used a lot for indigent burials by some of the different funeral homes, and It's becoming increasingly difficult for the Cardosa family to handle this by themselves. And so what, I met with Mrs. Cardosa last week and I asked her to be here today, and if you could just stand up, Ms. Cardosa is here. A lot of you, if you know the folks from San Pedro, you know her and her family. Her son works for us as a deputy sheriff. What I put it on the agenda because we need to figure out, this is a county cemetery that we've never maintained, and we've always allowed her to maintain it, or her family, and we just really need to take it up because now it's beginning to be used a lot for indigent burials, and we need to decide whether it's going to be maintained through the Public Works Department or through the Parks Department or through somebody, but it's got to be maintained by the county to assist them. They oversee it, and they can make. They're willing to continue to oversee that, but somebody they need help for people to come in and clean and cut the grass and things like that. And so I put it on the agenda because I wasn't sure how to handle this thing, and I want to make sure that we can do this. We can use the Prisoners at Work program also.
Good morning, the judge, good morning, Commissioner.
We need to set up a schedule. Yeah.
We'll set up a schedule for that, and we'll take care of that for you.
Okay, so are you willing to take on that responsibility?
Yes, we are, Judge.
Okay, perfect. If you can get with Ms. Cardosa and then work out a schedule with her, and then if y'all can take care of it for us, that would help us a lot.
We will do that.
Thank you.
Is the ownership of the cemetery the county's?
I don't know.
It's always been considered a county cemetery.
No, but like the land that it sits on is, who belongs, or who does it belong to? Is it county property?
Can we check into that, Judge? We will do that for y'all.
I mean, Ms. Cardosa, would you happen to know of that information?
It belongs to the county.
It belongs to the county. It's county property.
Since 1947.
Okay.
And is that the only county cemetery?
The only one.
Is the only county cemetery? Do we have a lot of space there?
Not a lot anymore. Yeah, they've been using it a lot for indigent burials. What happens is...
Are there any rules, though, in regards to who gets buried there or anything like that?
No, it's public.
It's public, there's no...
Because it's a county cemetery.
Should we, it just seems that cemeteries have a lot of other than normal operational requirements nowadays, unless they're grandfathered in, I presume.
I'll have to check it out, Commissioners. I don't know. We can find out for certain that it's a county cemetery by having our
I think that I mean, it's been working the way it's been working for a long time. All right, I don't think we need to mess with it. I think the only thing we need to do is help the family out to clean it.
If it's a county cemetery, which apparently it is, and the sheriff's department is willing to have the prisoners work on it, it seems to me that's a pretty good solution to solving the problem of maintaining it.
Yeah.
And that's really all it needs is maintenance. And the question of who authorizes whom to be buried there is another question that maybe we need to look at a different time.
Well,
Yeah.
if it's a public cemetery, I don't think we have the authority.
So anybody can go and request a
I would think
space?
so.
That's the way they work it.
Yeah.
Or you don't have to live in the area or anything? I mean, there's no...
I'm not sure. You know, did
I
they-
would like to know.
But
I mean, I
it's
don't...
It's being used for indigent.
The funeral homes that handle it are the funeral homes from Cameron County, primarily Brownsville. And those people who go to the funeral homes are from here.
Well, we provide
for the indigent
to be
burials.
buried.
And
Right,
and
that's...
I understand from what we've looked at in the past with the funeral homes that what we're paying is far short of what it costs in general to do a burial. And if they then have to purchase a plot also, even
It
though
would
the
add to the
cemeteries are
cost.
doing a discount on the plots, then it would add that much more to what we're paying to them. So we may be coming out in the wash, so to speak.
So then all
I'm not
indigents
sure.
are getting buried at the San
I
Pedro
don't know
Cemetery?
that. I don't know.
No, they're not. But some of them...
So then some of the funeral homes are having to buy plots and some of them are not.
Right.
And if that being the case, Commissioner, it's cost a lot more for a home that doesn't use a county-owned cemetery to bury someone than a funeral home that doesn't use a county-owned cemetery.
Correct.
So I think we need to, and I have no problem with the maintenance and these other issues, Judge. I just think we should visit to some extent on
what is going on there if it's a county
I
property.
think we need to look at the whole picture and see if maybe there's some way to even expand an area or create an additional cemetery somewhere, because it ends up costing the taxpayers one way or the other.
We
But I
checked that
think
out
what-
a couple of years ago.
What we have before us, though, and I want to go ahead and make a motion on this, what we have before us is having to do with San Pedro Cemetery. So my motion is that Sheriff's Department get with the family that is recently taking care of that cemetery and plan a schedule for the upkeep of that cemetery, and for legal to do some research as to whether it is the documentation we need to see that it is county, owned by the county.
I would second that. As long as county owned, I don't have a problem with it.
We can verify that.
Okay.
Motion second, any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you, Ms. Carlos.
And thank you for all the work that your family has done.
Her husband, Wile, who all of us who have been in politics for a long time, knew for many years, used to come by all the time, and I think we made him the manager, formally made him the manager of the county cemetery in San Pedro a number of years ago, and he passed away a couple of years ago, about a year and a half ago or something like that. And he's a great man. We need to do something to recognize Remy in the next few weeks. You know, he helped out so many years, and we need to make sure that we have the family here when we do that, okay?
And as you indicated, their son now is trying to maintain it and take care of it. It's just a bigger job than one person can take care of.
Right. Okay. All right, number 3, presentation by Fructuoso Gomez, Chief Appraisal for the Cameron Appraisal District regarding property assessment and valuation procedures. I put this on the agenda for a couple of reasons. One, we've gotten a lot of people have been commenting about the increased appraisals. I've been getting correspondence and phone calls and so forth. And there was an editorial in the Brownsville Herald, and somehow the Brownsville Herald, well, this is not new for the Brownsville Herald, but they made it look like the Cameron County Appraisal District, the appraisals are by Cameron County, and Cameron County Appraisal District is not Cameron County. It's
Correct.
the Cameron County Appraisal District. It's
Correct.
an independent governmental entity composed of representatives from all the taxing authorities in the Rio Grande Valley, in Cameron County. We have one appointment that we make to that, and I think y'all on your own decided to put Mr. Tony Seguirre on there, but he's not our appointee to the appraisal district. He's just on there because he's
Well, Tony's by statute.
by statute. He's
An ex
automatic.
officio member.
But
Non-voting member.
let me correct, as I often do with the Brownsville Herald, because it quite often is incorrect. These are not county appraisals. These are appraisals made by this entity, which we have no say whatsoever as to what they do, other than to the one representative we have that is not even an employee of Cameron County. He's a private citizen that we appoint to the appraisal district. But we do want to hear from you, because we've been getting a lot of complaints, and we want to know what's going on and why this has occurred and what it means. And
Sure. Before Mr. Goldman starts, I would like to say, Judge, that I had an opportunity to go over to the Herald and talk to the gentleman who wrote that editorial and explain to him the separation and the difference in the two entities, and he understands that. In fact, he indicated that a year ago he had received a letter from your office about the same thing, and he understood it then, that it was separate entities and that it's not Cameron County's appraisal district, it's an appraisal district established by statute, and we have one appointment to that board.
but they wrote the piece anyway.
He wrote the piece
Yeah,
anyway.
that was after he wrote the piece. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Of course, we've been getting a lot of calls over the last month or so. Of course, we send out appraisals, as we do every year. Around May, we notify all the property owners of what their value will be for the preceding year, this tax year, as we do every year. There's been a misconception between the public and the media as to exactly who we are or how we fit in the property tax system. You're correct to say that we are not a county agency. We're a political subdivision of the state, created back in 1979 by the Pivotal Tax Bill, a bill that was introduced back in '79. Appraisal district became operation between 1980 and 1984. The Cameron Appraisal District first appraisal roll was back in 1982. Prior to that, the taxing entities, which was the county, the cities, the schools, other entities that appraised property for ad valorem taxes, pretty much did their own values. They set values back then, and each one had their own appraisers. Each entity had their own board of equalization. As I recall, when I used to work here at the county, because I started with the county back in 1974, I was one of the county appraisers. And back in 1974, between 74 and 82, when I was here, the county commissioners was the board of equalization. At the city was the city commission, was the board of equalization. And then other entities, I believe at the school, if I'm not mistaken, it was the school board. But that's the way the property was. When the Pivotal Bill came into being, they created the appraisal district. It was to appraise all property within the county's jurisdiction, in between the counties. There's an appraisal district in each county of the state. We do the appraisals, I do the appraisals for 39 taxing entities. I appraise for Cameron County and all the school districts and all the cities and all the districts, special districts that collect ad valorem taxes. What I did today was I was called by Mr. Remy Garza about a week ago and asked to come here and do a presentation. And I guess the misconception is that what I read in the paper, like you did, Judge, and what I read in some of the other papers, that we are county appraisers. Again, we are not county appraisers. We're a separate political subdivision of the state. What I did is if you look at the packet that I gave you, maybe you look up at the wall here, and all we did was say we called this the appraisal district nuts and bolts. And basically, the way it's set up, the way the legislature set it up, is that the county, the cities, and the school governing bodies selects a board of directors. In my office, we have 10 board of directors. The board of directors then appoints a chief appraiser, which is me. They also select, the board of directors then selects the appraisal review board. The appraisal review board is a body of individuals, citizens of the county that hear the protests or values. They will decide they are the ones that listen to the value. If you have a protest, you go in front of them. You make your presentation as a taxpayer. And they either will overrule my value or they will adjust the value according to information that's been provided to them. That's the function of the appraisal review board. On the other hand, we have the state comptroller's office. The state comptroller's office they do a test performance on our values every year. That's the job of the comptroller's office. Also, what the governing entities do, they appoint the tax assessor collector. And most of as you all well know, most of the collectors are appointed, except for Mr. Isaguirre in the county here. He's elected by statutes according to the law. So basically, what you as an entity, you have one appointee, which is Mr. Ramirez, I understand. You appoint him to my board. The authority over valuations, and if you look at the flow chart up there.
Can I interrupt
Yes.
1 second, please?
Sure.
I think one important thing, and you briefly mentioned it, but one important thing that needs to be mentioned is that, the people that serve on your board of directors represent the values of the county in valuation. As an example, The school district in Brownsville has an appointment.
That is correct.
The city of Brownsville has an appointment.
Correct.
The Cameron County has an appointment.
That is correct.
The city of Harlingen has an appointment.
Correct.
The school district in Harlingen has an appointment.
Yes.
Then the conglomeration of all the smaller cities of this county as a group have one appointment.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
And all the school districts that don't have one appointment as a group of small school districts have one appointment.
That's correct.
So they're all represented. You know, all the different entities are represented on your board by not a group that is appointed by us here, but a group that is appointed by everyone that has valuation in a political subdivision.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
We want to make that clear
Sure.
because we don't do the appointments. And the only reason I know, Judge, is because I served on that board for 6 years when we put together
Correct.
a lot of the nuts and bolts of appointing the board of directors so that everyone in the county had an opportunity to have representation on that board. You know, not only the big entities.
Correct. I believe it started off with 5, then now we have
7.
now we have
Yeah,
10.
10, yeah.
9 which are appointed, and Mr. Isagiri, which is one of the statutory by statutory.
Yeah.
Correct.
And maybe you can go one step further, because people that are watching this might think, well, and who appoints that representative for, let's say, Brownsville School District? And it would be the school board.
That's correct. That's absolutely
Or
correct.
the city.
Or, well, yeah.
In the case of the
But
cities.
In the school district, it would be the school board, and with the city, it would be the city commissioners.
That's correct. Everybody's represented. Every single entity that we praise for is represented by one of the 10 members.
I have even gone so far as to suggest so there would be a clarification and a separation and a difference from the county, that maybe the appraisal district could have another name besides Cameron. You know, it used to be Cameron County Appraisal District, then they changed it to Cameron Appraisal District. You know, if they called it Tipatex Appraisal District, you know.
Or
then
appraisal
probably-
district
then
of
probably
Cameron
the
County?
Chevrolet dealer to get calls then, if they called it that, so.
It started off as Cameron County Wide Appraisal District, then became Cameron County, then now it's down to Cameron
Cameron.
Appraisal District. That's correct.
Okay, but what we want to know is what's going on. Why are I'm glad we clarified this thing, and it's important for the public to know. I promise you, the Brownsville Herald's not going to talk about that, but anyway, that's beside the point. Maybe the people that watch this.
Sure.
But what we want to know is why we've gotten these real high increases with a lot of people. Or is this a normal thing, or maybe it happens just because but I just got an inordinate amount of calls on this thing, and letters, and bad letters. I mean, you know, where
Right,
things were
that's correct.
scribbled over your documents and stuff like that. But
Over the
talk to
last-
us about that.
Over the last couple of years, there's been a tremendous increase in property value. And what the state says, or the law says, that I have to be at market value. What we do is we send notices out every year again. This year was, I guess, a very busy year. Reason is we've had a lot of sales in the county. We send out 194,000. As of today, as of yesterday afternoon, we've had approximately around 17,000 protests. We've already dealt or spoke with taxpayers at our office, about 8,000 people that we've already met. The deadline for the protest was June the 9th. Right now, we're in about the middle. I believe we started formal hearings on the 5th. We're about 3 weeks into the actual process of the system, as far as listening to taxpayers, taking their information, and so forth. Yes, values increased this year. There's been tremendous amount, again, of value increases in land. Along here, just in Brownsville, you've seen tremendous building constructions. Homes, right now, the interest rates are low. Over the last couple of years, interest rates are low. People are buying houses and selling houses. Last year, 2005, if we look at our records, we had over 3,000 homes in Cameron County, plus additions, swimming pools, things of those nature. All those have a lot to do with increasing property values. Basically, in a nutshell, that's the process. I mean, everybody got notice. I mean, the one that were needed to protest, people have come in to protest, have come in.
So what you do, let me
Go ahead, go ahead.
Let me get this straight, because I just think people need to understand how it works. In determining the value of a piece of property, when you do an appraisal over a period, how often, by the way, do you do appraisals on property?
We review, in Cameron, we try to review them every year, Judge.
Every piece of property?
No, we can't review every piece of property. That's physically impossible. What did we review this past year? We reviewed the Santa Maria School District, physically inspect Santa Maria School District. We did Santa Rosa, La Feria, Riondo.
Okay, so do you do, but I got complaints from people living in Brownsville. I mean, were their properties reappraised as well, even?
Correct. Correct.
But how do you, so do you go through all the properties in the county and check the valuations and make modifications?
That's correct, yes, sir.
So you take each individual property, and what do you do to that property? I mean, do you do a comparison of that property and the square footage and the location to other properties that have sold in the area?
Correct.
And you do an assessment of the value based upon that?
That is correct.
Okay. But how does that happen? I mean, there's a lot of houses out there. I mean, if I get let's say I got a property owner that lives up here off of is it McKenzie or McDavitt? Yeah, it's the one by the cemetery. Is that McDavitt? McDavitt. She lives right off of there, and she got a valuation change. Let's say on that particular property, when you got somebody that gets to that property, looks at the property, looks at the square footage and the age of that property, and then makes an assessment of what that value should be, or what?
Let me explain.
Because there's a lot of,
Yes.
I see how you all do everybody at one time.
Well, no, let me explain. Most of if you own a house for 10 years, the odds are the square footage hasn't changed, okay? That's one thing. The structure itself has not changed as far as it's still a frame house, or is it a brick house, a stucco home, or a block house, okay? Unless you made some kind of addition. Now, if you made some kind of addition, if they take out a building permit, they go down to the county here and get a building permit, or the city, that's when we find out that changes or modifications have been done. The way we approach a subdivision, let's take, for example, any subdivision. Assuming that we have all the structures, all the square footages, all the buildings, what we do is we look at the sales. First, we look at the land. If lots in that subdivision are selling for between 10 and 15,000, we usually take the median of value of those lots, depending if they're located within interior corners or if there's resacas. If there are resacas, more likely they're going to demand a higher price. We adjust for those things. We adjust for size. We adjust for either if they're frames or brick or stucco. We adjust for those items. The majority of the square footage or the sizes of the homes, we already have them on record. It's only the new information that we are adding to the roll, such as those 3,000 new homes that you said, or the ones that I said mentioned. But the question comes into how do we get, the information, how do we determine what the value is? Well, the way we determine the value is based on the information we get. Sales information, we are members of the multiple listing service of Harlingen. We're also members of the multiple listing of Brownsville. We get that information. That will give us an indicator of what homes are selling within that neighborhood. If they're selling between 50 to 60,000 square foot on a, let's say, a 1,400 square foot, and that's where we need to be, somewhere around that number. Again, this is a mass appraisal. We don't do fee appraisals. We don't have the people to go out there and physically inspect every single property in Cameron County. That's physically impossible. The law says that's the way we need to approach it, and that's the way we approach it. We don't get all the sales. That's a problem. I wish we could get all the sales. The problem in the state of Texas is that we're not a disclosure state as other states. There could be 100 sales within a subdivision. If I only get 50, I only use 50 sales. I can only use 50 cells because that's what's been disclosed to me. Now, if for some reason the other 50 cells, usually we see those when we start sending notice. People will come in and will provide their notice if they see that our value's higher than what they paid for it. But the problem that we have in state of Texas, because we're not a full disclosure state, we don't get all the sales. We wish we could. When we get all the sales, we can provide a better product to our community. We can do a better appraisal. And this is not only a problem here in Cameron, this is the problem all over the state of Texas.
The other thing that I've gotten complaints on is they're having a hard time getting to people. They make phone calls and don't get return phone calls and that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, I understand that there's a lot of households that have gotten these appraisals increases and they're upset about it and they're contacting your office and it's difficult to field all these phone calls. But do you have something in place to deal with the surge of phone calls that you get right after people get their appraisals? Because that's one of the big complaints that I've gotten is that they're not getting to people. They're not able to talk to people to find out what they need to do to start the appellate process, or what they can do. They don't even know about the appellate process. They don't know. They just get something in the mail and say, "What does this mean?
Sure.
You know, this is going to mean my taxes are going to increase. What does it mean?" And they need questions answered, and they can't get through because everybody's calling. What are we doing about that?
Well, we're getting about 900 calls a day. Of course, I only have 50 people on my staff, and some are already. Right now, we're having informal hearings. We're having formal hearings at the same time. We have staff working with the ARB. Then we have staff working with those informal hearings that we have. There's also people that are going to our office that their deadline has already expired. We do not turn anyone away. We will sit down and visit with them. If we find that there is a mistake, we will fix it. On the phone issue,
Even if the deadline's passed, if you show like they did an appraisal at a time when there was let's say a garage there, but the garage got torn down, but you don't show in your records, you will fix it even the time.
yes, absolutely.
I think people don't know that.
Yes. What we do if someone was to go to my office, and we've had this in the past, and we've always had it, is that people are not aware that if they move or demolish a structure, that they need to notify us. We put ads in the paper every year. Every year we put ads in the paper in April, advising the folks about their rights and remedies. In some cases, people don't know, and then they come in, and usually when they come in is usually when they get their tax bill. And they come in and say, "Mr. Gomez, I've had a building there. It was demolished last year. What can you do for us, or what can you do for us, because it's no longer there, and I don't feel that I should be paying taxes for something I don't have." What we normally ask them is for information as to when it was demolished, any information they might have, for us to be able to remove it. This time, if people are coming in right now, if they can show that it wasn't there, let's say a mobile home wasn't there, they moved it prior to 1/1 of 2006, absolutely we'll take it off. As the phone calls, we have approximately, like I said, 800 to 900 calls. We might not be able to get them, talk to them that same day. We have staff staying there till 9, 10 o'clock at night making phone calls. So we might not get to you the first day, but we'll definitely get to you in the next couple of days. What I'm hearing is people having a conversation with one of my phone operators yesterday was that the people are filing their protests, assume they're going to get their hearing right away, and they're calling back just to find out when can they come in, or when are they going to get that letter. But on the question of what are we doing about it, again, we're staying till 9, 10 o'clock at night and calling people back.
I think that one of the things that needs to be mentioned, Judge, is that when this organization came into existence, and I want to make sure and hopefully people will understand a little bit, is if these guys in the appraisal district appraise properties lower than they should be, say the state comptroller comes in and does a test on their appraisals and determines that our appraised value countywide is at 92% of what the state comptroller thinks we should be at. What that does is, for school districts, they have to collect 8% more in dollars from that appraised value than they would need to get maximal amount of state funding and allotment. And please correct me if I'm wrong.
Let me get Mr. Werner. Mr. Werner is going
Mr. knows that.
But Mr. Werner is the person that deals directly with the state controllers on a year-to-year basis, and he's familiar on the process when it comes to the property value study.
Yeah, because I know that when I was on the board, we would fight that issue in Austin with the state comptroller's office. We would go up there and say, okay, prove to us that your valuation is right and ours is wrong, because it meant a lot of money to all the school districts in the county.
And we're still fighting that.
Okay.
We're still fighting that.
Yes, sir, you're certainly correct, Commissioner Garza. That is a problem. We argue with the comptroller's office every single year, but it not only hurts school districts. The comptroller's office does a study on each individual school district. But if we're low on those studies, and we're at 92%, like you say, we're not only hurting school districts, we're hurting the other entities in the county as well, the counties, the cities. So we need to be at 100% of market value. The other thing that it hurts is if we're low in those areas, if we're below market value in those areas, and two studies, one right after the other one, then the comptroller's office has the right to come into the appraisal district, remove the board of directors, remove the chief appraiser, and put that appraisal district in a receivership. So we're forced to be at market value, not only because that's the best for the taxpayers of the county, because each individual will pay their own share then, but it's because, I mean, that's just what we have to do.
State law.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm glad you all brought that up.
That needs to be brought up, because it's sometimes unfair to these folks, and they take the blunt of all the complaints. And I do need to say that every individual that has had a complaint with me that has gone through your process of going through an informal hearing, not even a formal hearing, has called back, because I've asked them, please let me know how it goes, because I want to know what's going on. They have called back, and every individual, and one was really difficult, I haven't been there yet, but I will be, I'll let you know on that one. But these individuals have all come back from their informal process and have been very complimentary of how they were treated, have been very complimentary of being taken into consideration with whatever information they presented to the appraiser, and have had good things to say. My concern, Judge, is those folks that don't read, that don't write, that receive a letter in the mail, that throw it in the trash. And of course, those are usually at the lower end of your socioeconomic spectrum, and those are the ones that are in most dire need of not having their taxes raised. And that I've expressed constantly to these individuals, and they've been able to help some of them with finding homestead exemptions for them that they never knew existed.
Right.
And over 65 and retired and blind and handicapped, there's certain categories that they can take advantage of. So they're very proactive, I must say, your department, about finding those things with individuals to make sure that people take advantage of exemptions that exist for them.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Actually, and I've had the same feedback from people who have gone to you that we've referred them to. Actually, you're doing counseling, through your office. What I wanted to ask, though, and I I told this couple to go to your office and you know, set up a meeting with you, because I'm not an expert in that, it's not our turf. But they were concerned, and these are very humble homes, and it's happening all over my precinct, and I'm sure it's happening other places, where gated communities are being built, subdivisions, and these enormous walls are set up, so they sell the lots for, let's say, $75,000, but right across the road are these humble homes. And the information you get about sales, is that going to affect that humble home because of the sales across the road, even though it's a different environment completely?
No, basically what we've seen and what the market dictates is, for example, it's a gated community. Most of the effect of the value has to do with that area there. Now there's homes around it. That shouldn't affect that because they're not comparable properties. For example, if you were to live in a gated community, lots in there, like you say, it's $75,000. And if there's a few, let's say half a mile down the road, there's frame houses, that should not have an effect on those houses.
Well, I physically went to see these people that called,
Mhm.
and that gated community is right across from there.
Right.
And I'm sure that they went to see you, because I asked them to please go and set up an appointment.
Absolutely, we'll definitely take a look.
And I felt like perhaps their taxes had been increased because of that. And they're right smack across from them,
Mhm.
but there's this enormous wall. And these are extremely humble homes across the street from it.
That would probably not have affected that property. If it's all a gated community, it should not affect the property.
So you look
The
at-
values did increase, but because they have a gated community there, it shouldn't have affected other property across the street in this particular case.
Because after that initial phone call, my assistant and I went around the precinct and took note of, I don't know how many we counted that are that way. That there's these very humble homes, either right across the street or right next to these gated communities. And of course, the gated community has a different entrance to where they don't go by those homes. But yet those properties are right next to it. So that's why I asked that question.
I wanted to clarify one issue also. I think you mentioned that the appraisals are based upon what is there, what's existing on January 1 of the year.
That is correct, yes, sir.
And I think your idea, or you mentioned that, say, a mobile home is moved after that period of time. It's still appraised that year for what was there January 1. Building burns down February 4th or whatever day. It still has the appraisal of January 1, what was there January 1. There's no adjustments made during the year for changes in the construction, new additions or deletions or things like that. Is that correct?
If the structure is burned down on February the 4th, and the assessment date is January the 1st, there's no proration under the law at this point, unless there's legislation that will come in and address those issues.
But right
That has
now,
not
there's
occurred yet.
Okay.
No.
So the same thing with, say, a building permit's issued to double the size of a property of a house in May, April, May. That doesn't actually go into effect until the following year as far as an assessed value, is that?
That is correct.
Judge, I think that I want to make one comment. And I think market values for properties in this county are going up. It is a desirable place for people to live. I think that if we've read the paper the last 2 days, day before yesterday, there was an article about Seattle, Washington, their downtown area, and what's happening there is that a lot of the poor folks, it's the drying up of the black communities in the downtown areas because property values are skyrocketing and they can't afford to pay their taxes. Portland, Oregon, the same thing. And I'm sure that we see that occurring in many different communities in similar ways. When a gated community comes in and can sell lots for $80,000 a lot and you own 20 acres right next to it, you know, at some point in time, you know, unfortunately, it just becomes too lucrative not to sell, so you sell and move out. So the value of properties countywide is going up substantially. We've seen it occur on the island in a very significant way. lots going up $50,000 in 6 months, you know? I mean, and I'm sure you guys keep up with that. But we're having some very desirable places to live in Cameron County. In your precinct, Commissioner Tamayo, in that northern part of Bass Boulevard, that growth is phenomenal. And it's not, you know, $50,000 homes they're building, it's $250,000 homes. And it's displacing some of the folks there, you know?
And there's a lot of subdivisions that are not affecting the very low-income people, but
Correct.
quite a few of them are. And I just, you know, want to make sure you're sensitive to that, because these people have lived there forever. I think it's like a second generation, and they're very humble homes. And I'm going to call them and make sure that they have listed with you.
Sure.
And I'll be sure that I do that this week, because I have not heard from them after I told them to be sure.
The problem we got, I mean, we're gonna have to cut this short right now because we've got a real long agenda, but the problem we got, and the calls I get, is that people are getting these significant increases of valuation, like the Commissioner Garza says, as a result of, you know, the fact that property values are going up. But their salaries are not going up. Their income generated, the income that the family generates is not going up. And that's creating problems for them when it comes time to paying taxes. You know, even if Cameron County sets the same tax rate that it has, which we are going to try to do, they still have to pay more taxes to the different governmental entities that are out there as a result of that. And they don't understand how it really makes a difference, because if they have a house, sure, their value increased if they wanted to sell it, right? But if they want to sell it, then they got to buy another house that's got increased values as well.
Right.
And so they're not getting anywhere here. You know, they got a house that they're sitting on and living in that's worth more, but it would only make a difference if they were going to sell the house and move out of town and go somewhere else, because if they're going to sell the house and buy another house, the increased valuations of what they're going to pay. So I'm glad y'all came and explained these things. I'm especially glad that Commissioner Garza clarified the issue of the state requirements. But as Commissioner Tamayo said, you need to be sensitive to what these people are going through. And I know that you're trying, and I want to make clear that I didn't ask for this workshop to be critical of y'all. I thought it was important that you give information to the public as to what is going on, so that they can understand it and understand what it means, and understand why it's happening this way, and that there's a process that is involved, and that you are open to talking to people even when their deadlines pass, and that you'll try to correct some of the problems that are out there. But again, you know, let me continue to emphasize what I think we all are concerned about. You know, these are working people that are calling us. You know, I'm not getting phone calls from the owners of the high-rises on the island. They're not calling me. The ones that are calling me are the people that get up in the morning and go to work and work 8 to 5 and have a mortgage to meet at the end of the month, and have to put food on the table, and have to make enough money to try to pay for health insurance when they can for the kids and stuff, and they're barely making it at the end of the month. Those are the people that are calling me. Those are the people that are very concerned about the increased valuations, and as long as you're sensitive to that, to the fact that these are the people that they're barely making with the paycheck that they've got, then that's what we ask you to do. We don't want you to violate state law. We don't want you to do something that's unfair. But we also want you to be very, very sensitive to what our folks in our community are going through. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Can I just say something else before there is something in place for the folks that are over 65, Judge and Commissioners. That's the over 65 exemption. And for anyone that's over 65, the school district freezes their taxes based on when they turn 65.
We've done the same thing.
You all did last year Proposition 13, which is good for the not only for the people that are over 65, but also for the disabled. So that's also in place. So those are some of the items.
Thank you.
But again, I want to thank you, because I have yet, just like Commissioner Garza, I have yet to have anyone call me back saying that you all were patient, and I know how frustrating it must be when you can't change something and you have to make them see that that's the way it's going to have to be.
It becomes very difficult because you're dealing with human beings.
Exactly. So I thank you for that.
But we need to recognize that the deadline for filing a protest was June 9th.
Correct.
And if you miss that deadline, you know, your chances are slim unless there's a mistake.
If there's a mistake, they can always call us at our office numbers, and they're welcome to come by Monday through Friday from 8 to 5, and we will visit with them and review their account, absolutely.
Do you have a motion for
So moved.
presentation?
Second.
Your second by Commissioner Tamayo, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Aye. Aye. I'm gonna just go ahead and get to the agenda real quick, because there's a lot of people in here that are waiting, which is, the lawyers are gonna have to wait. Let me jump to item number 14. Consideration, authorization to hold a public hearing to receive public input relating to the amendment to the Cameron County Dune Protection and Beach Access Rules.
Move to open the public hearing, Judge.
Motion by Commissioner
Second.
Grant, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Yes, sir.
Judge, good morning, Commissioners. The reason that we put this on, the main reason was because we increased our beach access fees, and it was mandatory by Texas General Land Office that we do have a public hearing and I guess ratify the increase. So I have the order. Of course, that'll be approved later. But
What is the number? What is
Supplemental.
Yeah, but what are you asking it to increase it to?
we're asking the increase from $1 that was approved back in 1988 to $4 for Isla Blanca Park and Andy Bowie Park. And
That's the
it's-
beach access fee that's been charged all
Correct.
along. So we're not
increasing.
we're not increasing it. We're doing what should have been done
Right, just to
whenever this was
ratify.
done several years ago.
Right.
And what is this beach access fee used for?
The beach access fee, Judge, is used for beach maintenance. And we've proven to the state that whatever we collect is well under what it costs us to actually maintain the beach and beach access and you know, staffing and operation and everything else. So the $4 and the $3, the $3 is for beach access number 5 and 6. There's a different fee which we charge because we don't have any park facilities, we don't have any restrooms or anything like that at 5 and 6. But we proved to them, and they have no problem with the increase, the $3 and the $4. The only thing we need to do is just clear this up and ratify the what we're charging now.
All right. The public hearing, anyone wish to testify at the public hearing? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. My name is Stuart Diamond. I'm the chairman of the local Surfrider Foundation of South Texas. I wasn't exactly sure what it was on the agenda because it just said about amending the beach access, but from what I understand under the government code, anytime there's an increase or there is a charge to a beach park, there must be permission from the state. This $4 fee, I believe, went into effect back in the mid-90s or something. So I believe effectively they've been charging $4 illegally. And I believe that there need to be an accounting because from what I understand of the government code, that $4 must be dedicated to beach cleanup, maintenance, and dune protection. And I don't know if in y'all's audits for the past 10 or so years that $4 has been designated and shown to be that. And I would just request, I understand he says that the state has no problem, but I would ask that an accounting be shown, because if it hasn't been shown for the past, if this $4 has been charged for the past 10 years and it's been charged effectively illegally or without going according to the state law, I don't know if there has been a proper accounting. That's one thing I believe should be requested because that's a lot of money that should have been dedicated to beach maintenance and dune preservation. And I believe that the park system, since they have been charging that, and over that 10-year period, you're talking millions of dollars. I believe that they should show an accounting to prove that they have been charging what they should have been charging.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Item number 14? Okay. If there be no other comments, public comments from the public, do we hear a motion to close public hearing?
I'd like for Javier to reiterate, I think you indicated in your presentation that the fees we've been collecting don't cover the cost of cleaning the beach. Not that there shouldn't be an accounting of it, I'm not saying that, but from your operating the Parks Department and being in charge of that, have we been setting that monies aside specifically for that? You know how much has been collected, and you know more or less how much it costs to clean the beach and keep them maintained.
We do, Commissioner, and it's not set aside, but what we do is we do have to have internal accounting, because when we do our beach reimbursement program with the state, we have to present to them a quarterly report of how much money we collect and how much money is expended for beach maintenance. And we have a list of items that we can show as expenditures for beach maintenance.
So you in essence do have an accounting of it.
That's correct.
Just not maybe in a certain form that we would look at as an accounting. You've got
Correct.
a record of it. And you're telling us that the cost of maintaining the beach and cleaning it normally or always? Always outweighs the amount of money collected.
Correct.
And I'm sure that may be one of the reasons that the state isn't hopping up and down screaming at us about what we've been doing.
Well, the reason this came up, it came up 2 years ago, and what we did was we worked with their auditors, and we showed them the numbers of what we collected and what we used, what our operation was, and we proved to them, and it came from the auditor's office, and they said that was fine. But what happened is we never amended our plan to show those changes.
Through the formal process.
Correct. So that's what
Could you
we're doing.
provide us with that accounting?
Sure.
So that we could publicly be able to, make sure that you would get a copy, Mr. Diamond, so that,
It'll
okay?
be public record, so the documentation is there.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right, there a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
By Commissioner Canal, second by Commissioner Garcia. For discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Budget amendments, line item transfers for salary schedules, questions, concerns, comments, complaints. If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
You got anything to add yet?
Nothing to add.
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Tamales, second.
Second.
By Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Minutes, y'all ready on the minutes?
I am.
Yes.
ready.
Motion to
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wood,
Second.
second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Claims. You have claims to add, Mr. Yates?
Yes, I do. I have 2 additional claims to add to the published list. Check number 162108 to the El Salado Sewer Fund, Fund $340. Fund 340. We want to have an interfund loan of $3,500 from Fund 100 to Fund 340. And then also funding the Cameron County Jury Fund, check number 162107, funding the Cameron County Jury Fund in the amount of $28,006. We request these additional claims.
There a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by stating aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Note by abstention on warrant number 00161-799 to the Laguna Mara Water District and warrant number 00161-990 to the Southwest Key Program.
And I had an abstention on warrant number 00161-847. I've turned in my affidavit already.
All right. 9, presentation and possible action on report on the Washington DC trip taken on June 12th to 14th. Commissioner Tamayo?
Yes, thank you, Pizza Pulveda and David Garcia for a very tight schedule in Washington DC, and I will very briefly go over some of the high points, and then I want them to come forward because we'll need some action items. We attended the leadership conference that Congressman Ruben Hinojosa was sponsoring. He had excellent speakers, one of them being the chairman for the Federal Reserve Board, Bernanke, I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly, and we cheered, and I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I usually get easily motivated, but David Garcia beat me to it when he praised the chairman praised the Brownsville Community Development Corporation for their efforts benefiting over 2,500 low-income families through housing programs. And even Pete, who is usually so reserved, did some jumping up and down. No, not jumping up and down, but was quite excited about that. So we were very happy about that. And another speaker that all of them were excellent, but one of them that caught my attention was the ranking member of the House Agriculture Committee, Colin Peterson from Minnesota, and he was talking about biofuels made from crops of native grasses. And the reason it got my attention is that one of the grasses, which he talked about in length, was the switch grass. And I had an opportunity to speak to him after his presentation, and I was interested in finding out if it grew easily in dry farming, because of the fact that we have so much dry land farming in our county. So because of that, I talked to Ruben Hinojosa's office, and we will be organizing a summit on this topic for Cameron County. And I want to make sure that Pete and David are involved. Because we will be bringing some of those top-notch speakers to this summit, and Congressman Hinojosa is very excited about that. The other thing that was very positive is that Ruben Hinojosa, the Congressman Hinojosa, informed me on Tuesday morning that there was $1 million available through EDA for well, not a grant, but monies for Cameron County that would focus on job training, and we are already we contacted Frank Castellanos with Cameron Works. Pete, David, and I met with Connie Humphreys, who is Chief of Staff for Congressman Hinojosa, and we had a teleconference with Frank. He is in the process of communicating with EDA on that, and there will be a teleconference at 4 this afternoon with Congressman Hinojosa's office, EDA representatives, and myself, and of course Frank Castellanos. So that is progressing. Congressman Hinojosa mentioned that was targeted for Santa Rosa in Precinct 4, and most likely will end up being a workforce center. There were a lot of excellent speakers. I'm not going to take up time in going over all my notes with you, but we did speak. David and Pete set up a tight schedule for us, and we were able to meet with Salomon Ortiz, with both senators and their staff, and of course we were pushing our agenda, which is the North Railroad relocation, the West Railroad project, the Bahia Grande restoration project, GIWW realignment project, 24-hour operation of the Veterans Bridge, Veterans Health Care, and the levee project. We were fortunate in being able to meet with the commissioner of the IBW, well, acting commissioner of the IBWC, Carlos Marin. It was a very worthwhile meeting, and Pete will be alluding to that in a few minutes. For our information, and maybe you already knew this, I did not, there were 177 miles of levees that we have in the valley, with 77 in need of repair. And Pete, have you gotten the information on how many are in our county?
Yes.
Good. They did not have that information at the time, and something that is critical is of course the funding, and approximately $120,000 are needed for the complete repair. And
how much?
125
million.
125,000
Million.
I mean million. I'm sorry, million. I wish it was thousand.
Yeah.
And what they were looking at is hopefully 20,000 per year, which would be great.
20 million.
20 million. Here we go again. Well, I think in thousands. See, I'm not used to thinking in such big numbers. But the fact is that I don't know that we'll be getting it. But there was some other important information. But Pete, before we go to that, I do want to mention that. Through their efforts, we did meet with Noé Garcia, the majority whip. Is he policy advisor? Not chief of staff. And one interesting thing, as we speak, the University of Texas Health and Science Center is communication with that office because, of course, we pushed our agenda, but one of the things they were interested in, because of the fact that the majority whip is a medical doctor, I mentioned our partnership with the University of Texas with a telemedicine clinic and the two health units that we have, and he said they would be wanting information from us, and so the University of Texas is moving in that direction with them, giving them information. We do need some action items, and Pete, cover also the discovery that we made at that meeting about the Arroyo Colorado.
We passed out a little handout with all the meetings, a little recap on all the meetings we had, and I'll just focus on one of them. The meeting we had with the acting IBWC Commissioner Carlos Marin. Prior to that meeting, and during the meetings we had with IBWC and the meetings at the Hill, our consultant, Dos Logistics, accompanied us to the meetings. But prior to the meeting with IBWC, our consultants advised us that in a couple of weeks, the Senate was going to take up the Water Resources Development Act. And there was language in that legislation that was going to deauthorize the Arroyo Colorado in the Harlingen area. When we met with IBWC, we made them aware of that, and they advised us that that is part of their existing drainage system. And so, subsequent to that meeting, when we met with Hinojosa's staff, Ortiz, and both our senator staff, we made them aware of the fact that they needed to object to that language in the legislation and continue to authorize the Arroyo Colorado because that's in the drainage system for the IBWC. IBWC advises that there's 277 miles of levee in our region. 77 of those miles are in need of repair. I also passed out a booklet like this that has the information towards the middle of the report. It's a page titled LRG FCP Rehabilitation Estimate. And they list all the areas where the levees need improvement. The total of improvements needed are $125 million. But in Cameron County, there are 5 miles of levee that need improvement, and those 5 miles are in the Calaboz area. The estimate strictly for construction is $10 million.
Let me say something about that, by the way. It's funny that you raised that and the location that you raised. I had breakfast with a good friend of all of ours, Pete Leal, Pito Leal, and he was telling me, this is interesting, I don't know if this is the way it works or not, but he's telling me that ever since you had the increase of Border Patrol in our community, it has affected the levee significantly, because what happens is that the Border Patrol on the levees, in order to be able to monitor the entry of undocumented workers into our community, what they do is they drag the levees. What that means is they put tires or something in the back of their trucks, and they drag them so that they can see if the undocumented workers are walking. They can see the footprints, and when they do that, it cuts down the levee significantly. And then they're on the levees nonstop, and that has affected the levees. You know, this is part of their job, and it's not a thing about being critical about what the way they're doing their job. I know that they're charged with protecting the border, and they're doing it, and in my opinion, doing it well. But along with that has come this whole issue of affecting the levees, which is part of the way we protect our community from flooding. And I think that issue needs to be brought to the attention of the congressional people, that a side consequence of the increased presence of Border Patrol in our community has dramatically affected our levees in significant portions of our community, and they need to fix that. You know, I mean, it's not just pumping millions of dollars into hiring more Border Patrol agents and vehicles, but they got to pump millions of dollars to fix or maintain what they use in order to do the job, right?
And they're going to have a lot more very soon with the military.
That's right. And the military now is going to go on top of that with other vehicles, and it's going to be a big problem.
Surprisingly enough, that didn't that didn't come up.
Yeah.
And it was.
So we need 10 million for the Calabozo area, and then we need about 8 million for improvements to the Arroyo Colorado. When you add the design and the engineering, we're probably looking at about $20 million. Now, obviously, I just passed out a letter so that the court can sign, so that we can send to our elected officials in Washington and make sure that the language in the WRDA, the Water Resources Development Act, is taken out so that the Arroyo Colorado continues to be an authorized project. But there's about $6.4 million in appropriations for the next year's budget. It's not broken down by amounts that will go to Hidalgo County or Cameron County, but I think this is what we need to do. I really believe that we need to go to El Paso and meet with the IBWC staff and make sure that the two projects that are identified in their report, the Calabozo area and the Arroyo Colorado, that with that money, they can start the engineering and design for those two projects. Right now, they're doing the environmental assessment, and I believe it'll be probably about another 9 months or so for them to complete the document and to get a finding of no significant impact. Once that happens, then they can proceed to design and engineering. But the new funding definitely has to be for design and engineering. So that's one trip that I
Well,
really...
it makes sense that we would start fixing the problem at the end, not at the beginning.
Well, we stress that.
You know?
We stress the fact that if they didn't take care of Cameron County, then they would have twice as much of a problem.
Yeah, and that's why we really need to meet with IBWC and influence that, because if when y'all see the report, you're going to see that the majority of the 125 million that are needed improvements, about 105 million are in Hidalgo County, and about 20 million in Cameron County. So we really need to stick to the IBWC staff in El Paso and make sure that gets done. And then we'll stay on top of staff in Washington and make sure that language is taken out, because that's important to them. We don't have it on the agenda, but this item is an action item. We have the resolution. I don't know if y'all are able to sign it, we can send it along with a letter and then maybe just put it back for formal approval the following week.
Hold off on that.
Next
We'll
week.
get with you on that, all right?
It's same, it goes hand in hand with an item that's on the agenda on the memorandum of understanding.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Bring it up there.
I think it can.
Okay, because we really need to start working on those two projects with IBWC.
Okay,
I don't know what item that is, but it's
13.
number 13. If you want to take that one up.
Is that, okay, you want to take it up, right, so we can do it real quick?
Yeah, let's do that.
Consideration and authorization to enter into memorandum of understanding with the International Monetary and Water Commission regarding the Lower Rio Grande Flood Control Project activities in Cameron County. And that's part of that.
Part of that, yes.
Just a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do we have a motion to acknowledge the presentation of Commissioner Tamayo and Mr. Setula?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Garcia, second by Commissioner.
And
Wood.
just one comment on that. I was scheduled to attend that trip
Yes.
with the individuals. A health issue came up that I had to not attend with, but as soon as I got back, Pete called me and said, I'm glad you didn't go because we need to go back very soon on some of these issues. So you can go now and not have an excuse, you know. So I will commit to following up with that, Pete.
And I have to.
And I thank
to-
you for going in there.
Well, we missed you, David. I want to add again, praise Pete and David for a very tight schedule that we had, but covered a lot of ground. And all the offices that we visited knew them. Even the janitors were hugging David Garcia, so I guess those 7.5 years that he was there, the whole world knew him. But all the offices received us very positively and seemed very enthusiastic to help us with our projects. So we just need to continue doing that.
All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Let me jump real quick through I kept seeing the Girl Scouts out there, and I was wondering, and I didn't know that it was in the consent item, and I apologize to you, but I guess it was a good little class on civic, on how county government works. Let me take item number 20, and if we take a real quick consideration and possible approval of a license agreement with the Girl Scouts to sell cookies in the Cameron County Judicial Building. Only if you bring me a lot of cookies to buy, because I love your cookies, and will I vote for this thing?
I so moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. But you can say something if you want to.
We just came in here to be present when the vote came up, and thank you very much. If there's any kind of Girl Scout cookie that you like, we will try to.
The ones with peanut butter in them.
Oh, we've got two. We've got sandwich kind for the do-si-dos. Those are actually oatmeal and peanut butter.
Samoans.
The Samoas, okay. And with
Oh, yeah.
tag-alongs, which
By
have
the
chocolate
case.
on them.
I love them.
And those are delectable.
I have to not go see the doctor for a while because then my tests come out all wrong and stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're not
And they freeze well, too.
That's right. They-
Hold up real well.
And we have a zinc leader who hasn't been able to sell part of what she needs to sell, and that's why we're here. We're not actually the ones that but there are lots of cookies to be sold.
Okay, great. Well, you're welcome to sell as many as you can in our courthouse, okay?
Thank you very
Or your courthouse.
Thank you very much.
Especially on Mondays, when they're having the juries that come in,
That's when they
okay?
sit.
There's long lines.
We'll set up a table for you there and everything, okay?
We appreciate it.
All right, 11, consideration and possible approval agreement with University of Texas Health Science Center for a medical mobile clinic. Is there a motion on that?
Table it, Your Honor,
A
please.
motion to table?
Yes.
So motion to table on that?
So moved.
Motion by
Second.
Second by Commissioner Garza. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying
Aye.
aye. Motion carries. 12, consideration and approval for an agreement between Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency and Cameron County Constable Precinct 4 for the reimbursement of
Table.
expenses of joint operations. Is that a table too, or what?
Move the table.
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Matter is tabled. Consent items 15 through 32 and travel item 33. Any questions, concerns, comments, complaints on any of those items?
With the exception of 20.
I know that on 17, we had Mr. Navarro here for most of the morning. I think he left already.
Your Honor, or Commissioner, he came up and said that he has a 12 o'clock meeting, he had to leave.
Okay.
But, He was here in case you wanted to address it.
I have some concerns on 16 and 18. And I realize why we're using 16 and 18, this particular exemption under BTAC local government code, but it seems to me that maybe, in my viewpoint, we're using it too frequently when we don't really need to be using it. There are going to be times, and there have been times, when things come up that we've got to take care of in a very, very short period of time, but I don't think we should be using it in a manner to where if we have time to take care of the issue, that we invoke this and then go right through with it. I think we need to be more judicious with how we use it. From what I've seen, we didn't even know about it till, what, 2
Today.
months ago? No, as far as using this exemption,
Yeah.
a couple of months ago, we started
No,
using
we've
it.
used that
And now we
before.
seem to be using it, almost every week.
We've used it before.
And neither of these two items to me seem to be of the nature that we couldn't go out for RFPs or RFQs or.
So then you have a concern with 17 too, if you have a concern with 16.
17
address
and 19.
May I address that?
Yes, sir.
We do have a problem on, first of all, let me clarify, we have been doing that for 10, 12 years. We just have not been formally using the motion. But secondly, as to 16 and 17, we do have a problem because we already have hearings that are being scheduled. We have no attorney on board for the commission.
Well, we've been working on civil service for over a year, and we appointed civil service commission how many months ago? And at that time, I think we should have been looking at, because we knew we were going to need an attorney to represent those folks. And also, I think maybe they need to have some input as to what they're looking at as the attorney that's going to be working, representing them.
Commissioner, in Richard's request, he asked that we see if we could contact the commissioners on an individual basis to see if they had any objections to bringing on this counsel, just because of the immediacy of the appeal process being started. And of the two I was able to speak to, they didn't have any objection to it, but they did kind of voice that they would like to go out for an RFQ so that in the future that they would be able to review that and bring somebody else on a permanent basis. But the need that is presenting itself to the commission right now, that they felt that this was the best course.
This item's just for these particular hearings.
No, it's not. It's for a contract, but it's a 30-day out contract. It has a 30-day termination.
Well, you know, I mean, Mr. Navarro has been doing the Civil Service Commission stuff in the city of Brownsville for a long time.
As have other attorneys also. And there are other people, I think, that might be interested in looking at providing the service to the Civil Service Commission, because they're not providing it to us, they're providing to the Civil Service Commission.
What kind of hearings are occurring over there?
They've already,
I mean,
we've already got an appeal from, we have an appeal already set up. Now, we have an attorney on board that was hired specifically to do to set up the rules. She's done that. She's very expensive and coming out of Fort Worth. She could come down and do the hearings, but it's going to cost us a good deal of money to do it.
Well, can we go ahead and, I understand Commissioner Wood's concerns, can we go ahead and do what Commissioner Wood wants us to do, to go out for proposals on this, but for the meantime, for the hearings that are coming up, go ahead and authorize legal counsel for the Commissioner's Court to contract with Mr. Rick Navarro until such time as we complete the process of recruitment to handle the hearings that are coming up?
Well, we can do that. He has to agree to it. I mean, but I imagine he will, but I can't speak for him.
Well, I mean, assuming that he agrees to that.
That window of time be?
30 days out.
There's a 30-day out in the contract that exists.
So why don't we just hire him with a 30-day out clause, and then we go out for proposals through the Civil Service Commission, and the Civil Service Commission then will do the interviewing of all the attorneys, and then make a recommendation, and that's who we hire. And then that way, you know, then if he's not the one that's hired, he gets 30 days notice, and it's...
It very well may be him. I don't know.
Is that
who
all
it's
right
gonna be.
if we do it this way, Commissioner Wood?
I'll agree to it on this one, but I do think we're using...
On the other one, I agree. I think it can wait. I think we need to go out for proposals on 18 and 19. So
Since we do
can
have...
table 18 and
pending.
19, and then do as I suggested on 15, 16, and 17. On 16 and 17, huh?
On the Delmar Heights, we're trying to close the grant.
I know.
We've been doing that for
But is there-
years.
I know, but I just found out that we needed to do the asbestos. I was not aware.
Yeah,
of
but if we go out for proposals, is it gonna, is there a problem with delaying the closing of the grant till we do this through proposals?
I'm not so sure about that.
Well, come back to us if it is. But I think we can go ahead and table this for the meantime, and then let us know after that. If we have to do it, then we'll come back on that issue, okay?
Okay.
All right.
There's not too many companies that do that kind of work.
I know, and it's probably gonna be the company that you're recommending anyway, but let's just do
Very
this.
well may be that company, but...
I agree, let's,
Get people out.
all right,
So
any,
18 and 19 are being tabled?
Yes.
20 has already been voted on?
right, and the rest of them, any other questions, concerns, or comments?
But 17th, as recommended.
Yeah, let's just go on forward, but we're gonna come back and put something on the agenda to go out for proposals and let the Civil Service Commission interview people and make a final decision, okay?
Okay.
So moved.
To approve
Under
everything?
that, well,
Yeah.
wait, we've stated.
Subject to the changes made. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
Does that include the supplemental, Judge?
We're not
Not yet.
Not yet.
Adoption of the,
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay, we'll take the supplemental now.
Move to approve the supplemental.
Motion to approve the supplemental by Commissioner Garcia, second by Commissioner Kamai. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. There's another supplemental.
It's executive
Do we
session.
need to read-
Executive session.
we need to read the supplemental into the, because we got two supplementals.
Yeah, not the
Supplemental
executive session.
that we approve right now, did we vote on the
Yes.
supplemental?
Yes.
Consideration and authorization to adopt an order relating to the changes of the beach and dune protection plan.
I'll vote on that.
Me too.
Okay. Motion carries. Motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Tamayo,
Second.
by Commissioner Garcia. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Non-executive session.
Go into open session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes. We're in open session. We'll take up the supplemental notice for executive session first, which is deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of right-of-way for West Rail project.
The motion
Move
is
to approve the amount of $10,881. Is that the?
That is correct, sir.
Second.
Correct.
Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 35A, which is confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Cameron County versus Faulkner, USA, formerly known as Landmark, for approval of settlement agreement pursuant to VTC Government Code Section 551.071 A, B, and 2. Motion.
Motion approve the settlement with the last remaining defendant in the amount of $4.4 million.
So moved.
Second.
And that defendant is El Cardenas and everybody else involved,
That
right?
will include mutual releases.
I don't, that's.
Yeah.
They've got settlement agreements, paper signed, and the motion just needs to approve the amount for the final settlement. So-
Okay.
That's all that the emotion, that the motion is saying,
With El Cardenas.
with El Cardenas.
So we need to approve it being signed.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
authorizing the
and
judge to sign it on
authorizing
behalf of
whatever-
Commissioners
Whatever
Court.
is needed.
Okay, that's your motion, that's your second, John?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 32B was, I need a motion to
So
table.
move to table.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried, and we will table 35B, 35C, Dancy Building Restoration Project or Renovation Project. We need a motion on that.
I move to allow the city of Brownsville to use Lot 2, Block 122 for the demolition of the old La Seca house.
Access.
Access.
Okay.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. 34D, move to table.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is tabled. 35E, deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcel 148 for Primera Road Project in Primera Precinct 4 pursuant to Government Code Section 551.072.
I move to approve the purchase for the amount of $860.
That's right. Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 35F, deliberation regarding the granting of 10 food electrical easement to AEP Texas to extend overhead primary power line to the old Levi Building, Williamson Road, San Benito, Texas, Precinct 3 area pursuant to Government Code Section 551.072.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved in second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. 35G, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning possible acquisition of land for proposed park in the San Pedro area.
Move to work with the city of Brownsville in continuing the process for the acquisition of property
And development.
and development of the park.
Second.
Moved in second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Aye. 35H, deliberation regarding real property concerning acquisition of parcel 1 for the replacement of bridge at FM 803 pursuant to VTCA Government Code Section 551.072.
Move to approve the acquisition in the amount of $5,500.
5,005, that's right. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 35I, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning medical claims from Valley Regional Medical Center on Jose Laredo pursuant to VTCA Government Code Section 551.0712.
To acknowledge report and direct counsel to continue with the negotiations on a settlement with Valley Regional Medical Center.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to adjourn.
So.
We did it?
We did it.
Yeah.